Since it's been pretty much a year since my first Crash Bandicoot review, or maybe it hasn't been, time really means nothing these days, I decided it'd be time to check out my personal favorite game in the series, Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back. And in a way, I'm kind of striking back in a very similar way, because Naughty Dog actually released these suckers one after the other in the span of 3 years. So, you know, I'm not saying that I'm gonna wait another year to tackle Crash Bandicoot 3, but, you know, if it happens that way, disregard this, it was totally planned. Whoa! Hey, real talk. We've been talking about it, and we think that you should really subscribe and click the bell, and maybe even click the join button below the video. We think it'd probably be best for you. You get access to like 30 members-only videos, and you know, you might just put a smile on my face, so... Hey guys, I'm Garrulous64, and you know what I like more than anything else? Being angry. And that's why I've been a Sonic fan for so long. But you know what else makes people angry? Crash Bandicoot. I mean, this is a picture of a gamer who played the original Crash Bandicoot for 3 seconds. And this is what he looked like before that. Naughty Dog, seeing this tragedy, decided that in their follow-up to Crash Bandicoot, they would make a game that people could actually enjoy, and thus, Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes. Picking up where the first game left off, Cortex falls off of a blimp into a cave where he finds the crystals.
Of course.
Seeing these purple prizes as the best way to continue his domination of the planet, Dr. Cortex and his new cohort, Dr. N. Jin, decide to trick Crash Bandicoot into collecting all 25 power crystals for them. That way they don't have to expend any of their own resources, and honestly, that's a pretty giga-brain plan. I gotta give him credit for that. Meanwhile, down on the islands, Tawna has been erased from canon. I mean, ran off with Pinstripe Potoroo from the first game because he owns a real gun, and Crash only owns a gun that can kill scurvy. Forget about that though, because Crash's sister Coco, who materialized between games, asks her big brother to go find her a new laptop battery, probably from the Best Buy down the road. Very simple premise. But oopsie daisy there, Crash Bandicoot didn't look both ways before crossing the street and he gets warped away to Cortex's basement. Cortex blatantly lies to Crash about his motivations, and since Crash has but a single IQ point, he does not ask questions and therefore follows orders. Maybe Cortex did create the perfect soldier, he just kinda has to lie to him. In last year's Crash Bandicoot review, I mainly stuck to the insane version of the game because I believe I had said something like, if I had the original game when I was a kid and I hadn't started with Crash 2, I probably never would have played another Crash game because Crash 1 would have put me off of the series as a whole. That being said, I think it would be a disservice to Crash 2 to not show how much of a glow-up it is compared to its predecessor. On one hand, you've got this stiff, unenjoyable mess, and you gotta like jump through hoops to save the game, and geez, that might be a little bit troublesome if you gotta get in the car and go to school or something, but then, bam, it's Crash Bandicoot 2 and you're sliding and spinning, and I can't spin all the way around like him because I'll fall down and break my neck or something. And most importantly, you're saving whenever you want, because that's a very essential feature to have, because now you can play a level or two, save, and then run off on that adventure you gotta tackle. You gotta throw a ring into a volcano or something. And I promise you, this isn't even just nostalgia talking. Crash 2 is a really stellar game, but I can prove it because Crash 1 on the Insane Trilogy is a game I enjoy a lot. The original Crash 1 is just not up to snuff. Seeing how much they listen to feedback for the first game is honestly astounding in this day and age, because, you know, a lot of companies won't do that now. But Naughty Dog was just the GOAT, the naughty GOAT. Out of all the games I've ever played and all their sequels, I don't know if I've seen as big of a glow up from the first to second game as I did in Crash Bandicoot 2 from anything aside from maybe like, I would say like Portal 2 is a really close second. That was definitely a huge improvement on the first. Though I mean, Portal 1 was good too. This is not the same situation, but you know what I mean. So much has improved here, I don't even know what to praise the most, because obviously I mentioned the controls are a lot better, but the level design has also gotten a huge leg up, because now there are a bunch more bonus areas, secret pathways, there are even secret exits and other things like that. So exploration of these stages is a must if you want to find all of the hidden goodies all throughout the Wumpa Islands, or the Insanity Islands, I don't remember which one it is. The difficulty's also been toned down, but not in a way that makes the game too easy, because some parts of this game are still very challenging, and I kind of commend them for finding a good balance between the two. Certain gimmicks from the first game actually make a return as well, such as the Warthog stages from the first game returning in the form of polar levels in this game, further solidifying the fact that Crash has absolutely no concept of personal space. There are also some levels where they strap a jetpack onto Crash, and I really don't like those as much as anything in the rest of the game, but you know, it's showing that they got variety and they're not going overboard with it. Overboard. There is also a jet ski that I almost call the hoverboard. That was a good way to segue from my verbal typo. What I'm trying to say is they brought in all of this good stuff from the last game, and then they made it fun and exciting and new in this game along with a whole bunch of new features. Which is pretty much what a sequel should be, I think. I don't know. I'm not a video game. In the first Crash review, I had said, hey, I'm never playing the original version of this game, always play the insane version. But for this game, it's very much up to preference on like which controls you enjoy more. I guess it's slightly different, and I guess, you know, the original PS1 aesthetic versus the 4K graphics. Man, I really hated that marketing campaign when these games were coming out. Like the last video, I'm gonna go over a couple stages as opposed to all of them, because I know we all have a lot of things to do, and that doesn't include standing here talking about a very good video game for an hour and a half. But if that is something you enjoy, perhaps you could check out the video up there where I talk about Ocarina of Time for an hour and a half. It's pretty good, I promise you'll laugh a lot. I think it's only fair to start with the first level, Turtle Woods. Not only because it is the first level, but also because it includes a nice new gimmick that I wanted to talk about. See, before you go into the level, you might notice on the little warp room door that there is a crystal, a clear gem, and a blue gem in this level. And running through the entire level, breaking all the boxes, gets you the clear gem. And you go, okay, well, maybe I'm not supposed to die at all, like in the first game, and then you get the colored gem. But psych, who dies in this level? No one. So where's that gem, you might ask? Well, for those with Bandicoot eyes, if you look through this level, it's also very possible to go through the entire thing without breaking any boxes, as evidenced by this one bouncy crate right in this wall of crates. Thus, through experimenting with different things like that, or catching the hint on the loading screen that pops up sometimes, you'll find that this game has alternate methods to unlock the colored gems, aside from just being ridiculously challenging. They actually make you think a little bit with that 1 IQ point Crash has got up there. Traveling across the warp room, we have Hang 8, which introduces one of the most fun Crash Bandicoot vehicles to date. That was an unintentional rhyme, I'm so sorry. Here we have the jet ski, which is Crash's only way to travel across the water because he forgot his water wings at home. This poor man instantly drowns if he touches water. How the heck does he stay hydrated? The jet ski is very easy to control. It doesn't have any kind of bullshit about it like other vehicles later on in this franchise have. And it's very, very satisfying to like cut through the water very precisely and then gun the turbo and just fly through these stages as fast as possible because, oh man, look at that. There's like a timer in the corner of the screen, and I wonder what that's about, and maybe I finish the level before it's over and I get another clear gem! That's incredible! See, this game's fun, guys. They have fun ideas on display here. I'm having fun! By now you've collected a couple gems, and you must have seen this familiar face popping up in the warp room. This is Cortex's previous henchman, Brio, who is very mad at Cortex for throwing him out. But you know, he just got out of prison because of that Disney lawsuit from the last game, so I don't think Cortex really had a choice. Cortex might be crazy, but he's not crazy enough to take on Disney. In a weird twist, Brio's not here to be an obstruction to us. He actually wants to grab all the gems to stop whatever Cortex is planning, and to do that, he also needs Crash to collect them. But, in a weird twist again, Brio is actually the one sending all the bosses after us, with the exception of the final two. So, I guess he's trying to stop Crash in case Crash stops collecting gems and is just trying to help Cortex. But I see one fatal flaw in this plan, because I don't think Brio himself would be able to survive one of those boulder chase levels, you know, if Crash were to perish. So you should probably just back off. Just let the man work. He knows what he's doing. But it doesn't matter too much anyway, because it's not like Crash Bandicoot could permanently die. I mean, even if Ripperoo himself rose from his grave to take him out, it just wouldn't work. Speaking of which, oh, okay, so he wasn't dead, he just went away to college. But, you know, same thing in my book, depending on your major. Ripperoo will jump around the area, spawning explosives all willy-nilly. I don't know if he went to school for that or has a permit, but I'm gonna move past that. Basically, all you gotta do is tuck Crash away into a nice little cozy corner and wait for the consequences of Ripperoo's own actions to come back to bite him. Or blow him up, rather. This one's really easy. I'm kind of disappointed in that, though I'd rather still have this fight than his really bad RNG-based fight from the first game. Warp Room 2 has a snow aesthetic, which means most of the levels here are going to deal with the snow levels in ice physics, so boy oh boy. One standout example of this would be our first Polar level, which is Barrett. Polar is a little bit more of an advanced model than the Boar from the first game, because he can turn his pure spite for the situation he's in into a speed boost. This allows Crash to run and jump over certain obstacles, and by the end of the stage, Crash gets thrown off a mountain and Polar receives the Soul Stone.
What did it cost?
Coco becomes a playable character in this hub world, further tampering with the space-time continuum, but she's watched Back to the Future before, so don't worry, she knows what she's doing. Quick aside about Air Crash, it's another jet ski level, but it is also the introduction of secret exits. You might notice some things in the world look a little bit strange, like that platform out there in the water. So you bounce at some crates to get over there, and all of a sudden, Crash is gone, and he's thrown into a secret hub world. This is a place where you can re-enter other levels from a different entrance, and that'll either help you find more boxes to get the clear gem, or in some cases will lead you to the colored gem that's hidden in the stage. These make my gigantic radiated cortex brain feel great when I find them, because it's like, hey, I'm being rewarded for thinking outside of the box, or the crate. That would have been much funnier because I'm talking about Crash. Meanwhile, in the Eel deal, we have the introduction to sewer levels, which don't have anything of, like, importance to mention. It's just, hey, we're in a new location for this series, and it's something that's gonna catch on for the rest of it, because sewer levels just start appearing in, like, everything. I think there was even a sewer level in Crash 4. The good one, not the bad one. This level's full of electric eels, otherwise the title of the stage would be a huge f***ing lie and I would probably sue. This is some serious business. It's the eel deal. I'm here to make a deal, man. Pro tip, don't shake hands with an electric eel. They're electric. Boss 2 is the Komodo Bros, and this boss is only a smidge harder than the first one because you need to walk leisurely in a circle to avoid Crash being cut up into novelty Crash cubes. Yeah, not really a big deal here. It almost feels like a Mega Man Legends boss, except those you're actually like shooting while you're running in a circle, but you know, this one is just like, oh gosh, getting my cardio in for the day. Warp Room 3 is now themed after the sewer levels, so I assume I'm gonna get sick of that aesthetic now. This hub world introduces another Crash Bandicoot staple, the Ruins level. These stages are about as bottomless pit heavy as they come, so you must tread carefully. I don't know about you guys, but I do quite enjoy precariously platforming past prehistoric predators while statues prepare to purge Crash with flames. Try saying that. I was gonna say 5 times fast, but try saying that at all. I don't know how I did it. Now I know I'm trying to talk about new stuff mainly, and I hate to talk about another polar level, except I don't because they're really good, and this one actually merges itself with another core Crash Bandicoot concept that I've forgotten to talk about until now. Y'all remember the chase levels from Crash 1? Well, now we get polar level mixed with a chase level. I don't know, Crash is really pushing his luck, like running away with this polar bear's child while the polar bear like falls down a gorge, and dies like right in front of its kid. Crash is the villain. Crash is actually, where's the game theory on that? After we ruin Polar's family, we end up fighting boss number 3, who is Tiny Tiger, and all we do is like take some almost assured leaps of faith, and the poor little guy just can't keep up with us. It's really kind of sad. But who cares about the dead tiger? We're going to Warp Room 4, the Ruins level! In this hub world, we have yet another new mechanic alert. In the slightly incorrectly titled Behaving, I'm of the opinion it should be Behaving, because it has bees in it. In the stage, Crash is able to dig into the ground sort of like a Bugs Bunny and use that power to easily defeat Mario. There's just something really satisfying about tunneling through these levels to avoid having to use an EpiPen because of all the bees. And these are actually just some of the most memorable for me because of this mechanic alone. Now, Crash 2 veterans probably knew I was going to talk about this one. We have a level called Cold Hard Crash, which is an ice level that is probably the hardest in the game to go for 100% unless you're playing Slippery Climb or Future Tense, but I'm gonna leave those out because those are DLC. If you're playing the stage on its own, it's not that bad, but the problem arises when you get to yet another Crash 2 newcomer, or the Death Fruit platform. Because once you get on that thing, man, I really hope you like ice physics and a million Nitro Crates. What, you don't like those things? This is the first I'm hearing of this. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Nitro Crates are also a new part of this game that I've neglected to mention because I am the worst script writer in the history of scripts. They basically just explode when you touch them, so just, you know, don't touch them and you'll be okay. But oh man, your shoes don't have traction on the ice now, do they? Oh, and now you're dead. 100 times. Some people might say that this is bad for having such a huge difficulty spike out of nowhere, and, you know, everything else in the game aside from this is very not this brutally difficult, but I kind of like it a lot because it feels like it's like this is the part where the Crash Bandicoot children are separated from the Crash Bandicoot men, because I'm gonna get through this level by cheesing invincibility power-ups and no one's gonna stop me. I think I did get frustrated with this level after a while, so maybe it's not my favorite thing in the world, but I do think this game as a whole is still very peak Crash Bandicoot if you're looking for a place to enter the series. Just, you know, watch out when you get here, or maybe don't go for 100% the first time you play. It's up to you. This time our boss fight is with Dr. Engine, and much like Dr. Robotnik before him, he decided to save money on his robots by building them out of soggy tissue paper. This is evidenced by Crash casually throwing Wumpa Fruit over his shoulder at the robot, and it being destroyed by whatever that fusion of mango and apple is. The only thing weaker than this robot is the boss fights in this game up to this point. Surely, the final boss will be better though, right? The final warp room is in the coldest depths of space, but even that is not as cold as the existential dread that weighs down my mind every day. This hub world mainly has robotic paradise themed levels with machines as far as the eye can see. They have these little like squid robot dudes with like electric tentacles that you can only jump on sometimes, and they're one of the most annoying things in anything. And there are also these like shrink rays that'll send Crash Bandicoot to the quantum realm if you're not careful. Make sure to say hey to Ant-Man for me, dipshit. That might have been a little too harsh. I think I was just mad about the electric octopus thing. This is also the hub world where jetpack levels show up, and again, I'm not a fan of them. They're very slow and boring, and a lot of them just rely on you waiting until an enemy is able to be attacked so you can proceed, or just barely like nudging yourself up or down to try and get by the nitros or the giant death beams. It's very meh. It's very mid. I guess that's what people would say these days, right? I think it was important to mention the jetpacks for this reason alone though, because we're heading to the final boss, and the final boss actually uses the jetpack mechanic. So that's not a good sign. But maybe it'll at least be better than the 4 bosses that came before it. Oh no, never mind, sorry. It's actually the worst boss fight in maybe the entire Crash Bandicoot franchise. Apparently Cortex has just gotten really bored of waiting for Crash, and he's just like, alright fool, I've got the crystals now and you're going to die. So Crash just kind of goes, and then he flies after Cortex, spins him 3 times, and then Cortex drifts out into deep space like Sandra Bullock in Gravity. Man, oh man, Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back? More like Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Out in the boss fight department. More like Crash Bandicoot 2 strike up a conversation with whoever invented these boss fights because I want to give them a piece of my mind. More like But if you got all the gems, the story does not end there. Brio shows up, takes all of your gems, does not apologize for sending Tiny, Ripperoo, and Komodo Bros after you to kill you, and then he promptly vaporizes the Cortex Vortex out of the sky. And it's looking like we're not going to be hearing from Dr. Cortex for a very long time, or at least another year. And that, my friends, is Crash Bandicoot 2. Sorry for taking so long if you've been waiting for this video. I don't know how many people really were. I did see some comments about it, so I appreciate that you actually wanted to see my thoughts on this one. But yeah, this is one of the best sequels I have ever played. It is honestly very incredible that Naughty Dog was able to take a concept like Crash, and I know I gave Crash Bandicoot 1 a lot of shit. I'm mainly playing it up a little bit, but again, I would never play the original. It is very frustrating. They take all the good from that, they make it even better, and then they go on to Crash 3, where it's definitely more inspired and very cool, and I love the music, but it's definitely a step down in terms of difficulty, because Crash 2, I think, is really just like the perfect middle point between Crash 1 and 3, which it is already a middle point, so I guess that makes sense. But for real, if you've never played any Crash Bandicoot games, I would try this one out. I think this is a very easy to get into game with a lot of fun exploration, and there's a lot going for it if you're going for 100%. So, I mean, if you can get the Insane Trilogy on sale, which it goes on sale all the time, I would just give that a shot, see what you think. And now I will go back into Crash Bandicoot hibernation for another year. So good night, my friends. Well, yeah, these are... It's Crash Bandicoot, but they made the logo say crab. What the f***? Groot. Hey there, thanks for making it this far into the video. If you like this video and you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe, click the bell, follow my Twitter, and join the Discord to keep up with more Crash Bandicoot and other things that aren't Crash Bandicoot, because I do a lot of things. I'd also like to ask you, if you made it this far, please leave a comment down in the comments, because not a lot of people make it this far, and now you're in the secret club. Congratulations. I'd also like to give a huge thank you to my current supporters, who are Chaotic Mercenary, Brady Hilkmeyer, Mimic, Noah WizBios, Danny Lee Dauber, Mike TGC, Minty, Ty Little Tech Guy, Jeremy, Dax, T-Bone APH, Crystal, PM13, Chaos, Dork in a Hat, Mega Traffic Cone. And then on Patreon we have Tayaki Chow, Noah WizBios again, and John the Real Wawa Luigi. Thank you also to everyone who's supporting in the $1 tiers. It really means a lot, and also gets you access to like 30 members-only videos that you can find up there. It's bloopers and game commentary, stuff like that. I'm gonna get back to it soon also, so there's more to watch. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.